Walt Disney has done it again. As soon as we think that we're done reporting on Walt Disney World typos, they have disrespected a Disney legend by confusing him with a different Disney legend, although we can't tell which one they confused him with. All that and more on That Park Place. Well, here we are with a follow-up to a previous story. Oh my goodness. Vash, thank you very much for covering the typos of the Walt Disney Company. I'm glad they fixed everything.
Yes, it's all fine now. I think Brooke has really fielded those calls and has really gotten the whole thing sorted out.
Of course, you all know that we would not be here if we didn't have something to say. And it looks like in 2022, Disney legend Richard Sherman returned to Walt Disney's office to play piano for Walt Disney Animation's new short, Once Upon a Studio, at the same time of day in the same place where he and his brother Robert would perform the lullaby for Walt. Well, that's a great tweet, and that one was sent out at 12:47, and you can see right there it says last edited 12:47 p.m. Well, let's go look and see what the original tweet was. It reads pretty much the same, except it says the same place where he and his brother Roy would perform the lullaby for Walt.
Man.
Swing and a miss, guys. Swing and a miss.
Yeah, you really gotta get the copy of that to the proofreaders before you hit send on that. This is it's just intolerable, man. This is really bad.
Let's take people through the history here for those who don't understand. Of course, we caught the Grizzly Place, Grizzly Hall. Sorry. Problem, and then of course they sent out the candlelight processional with editor's notes still attached. Waiting for confirmation from Brooke. And now you have this. Robert Sherman was the brother of Richard Sherman. And if you don't know who Richard and Robert Sherman are, there is a documentary on Disney Plus right now called The Boys. It's a great documentary.
Absolutely.
It's talking about their contributions to the Walt Disney Company, specifically that they wrote all of the music and lyrics to the songs in Mary Poppins. I could gush for hours on the lyrical beauty of Jolly Holiday. Alliteration, internal rhyme. It is a masterpiece
Absolutely.
of lyricism by Robert Sherman. Now, Roy is someone's brother. He's also someone's nephew.
That's true.
Vash, do you want to fill everybody in on that?
Well, I believe the writer may have gotten confused with not Richard Sherman's brother, but Walt's brother, Roy Disney. And as you mentioned, nephew as well. Roy is also Roy O. Disney, if I'm not mistaken, is the son, and Roy P. Disney is the father.
Roy O as in CFO, and Roy E is the one who is on the animation building in the Disney 100 short. So Roy E. Disney is probably actually his name is probably in the short for that big group picture in front of the Roy E. Disney animation building.
Right.
So I'm going to feel really bad if I've now confused the two, because it's very easy when it's two guys named Roy, as opposed to Richard and Robert Sherman.
Correct.
Now, sometimes I will call Richard Robert and Robert Richard, but that's a whole different thing. At least they got Walt's name right, you know?
They did get Walt's name right. You know, it's and they got both names right, surprisingly enough, right? Walt Disney's right. They got it right there. They just by the way, this tweet is really worded kind of strangely. Would perform the lullaby. What is the lullaby that they reference here? There is no previous mention of what the lullaby is. We can only assume they're talking about Feed the Birds.
Yes.
But they say the as in they're referencing something, and it's not actually embedded in the tweet itself. So this is all really kind of strange, and just honestly, it's just bad proofreading by the Walt Disney Company.
Right. If I were the person who wrote this tweet, I would be very scared if someone said, "Man is in the forest."
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and if anybody wants a great Disney version of the history of the making of Mary Poppins, which includes the Sherman brothers in it, played by Jason Schwartzman and what's the other guy's name? BJ Novak. playing the Sherman Brothers, of course, Tom Hanks playing Walt Disney. It has a little recounting of one of these moments of Tom Hanks saying to Jason Schwartzman, play the song. And it was Feed the Birds. And of course, that is what it's all about, is the sentiment there. It's a funny thing. We're giving them a hard time, but at the same time, this is becoming, this is not a fluke here. This is a trend. You've got people who don't seem to be familiar with the subject matter, don't seem to be historians of the company running the press of the Walt Disney Company. That 1939 release date of Snow White that was put on a banner in the Walt Disney World resorts. You guys have a problem here that you're not solving.
Disneyland. That was Disneyland who had that banner specifically. So
I do that all the time. I mean to say Walt Disney Parks, and I end up saying Walt Disney World Parks. I'm one of those Florida snobs that thinks that Walt Disney World is the park. Vash, do you have any other view on that you might disagree with me?
No. Hey, Walt Disney World, it's the driver. I mean, honest. Disneyland is, the little park, and it's the world's most what is it? It's the world's most
it's the
iconic locals park, right? Whereas Walt Disney World is really the resort destination,
right? One might say that that Disneyland is the happiest place on earth, and Walt Disney World is the most magical place on earth. I do believe that is the official trademark of the Magic Kingdom.
I think that is the official one. But listen, this started off on the kind of a parks level, right, where you had some signs in front of Indiana Jones, just not proofread. You had which was funny enough, the kickoff to the 100th anniversary with banners all along the navigable streets and so forth, featuring dates that were wrong, spelling that was wrong, all this kind of stuff. And now this is permeated into their social media platforms, right? Who knows where we go from here? But it's really shameful. And honestly, as we were talking about before, Jonas, the marketing department, the social media department was actually pretty good for a lot of years, especially under Iger. This is it's just laziness. It's just incompetence.
Yeah, I would say whoever ran media relations for the Walt Disney Company at that time probably did a pretty fantastic job of running a tight ship. Thank you, everybody, for sticking with us here as we ribbed the Walt Disney Company a little bit on yet another typo here. If you like this kind of video, of course, like this video. If you want to subscribe, that would be great. Or if you want to share this out and maybe emphasize to those at the Walt Disney Company who might be listening, because believe it or not, they do listen to what social media is saying about them. Maybe share this out on your favorite platform. Of course, you can follow us at the handles below or in any of the links in the description. And subscribe to That Park Place. Come back for all the news that should be fun.
Thanks for watching That Park Place News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com for all the news that should be fun. Don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media accounts.